everybody, it's Alexa with Grace and Cherish. I am out in the garden because today we are working on cleaning up the garden and getting ready for winter. It is the last week of November, and though the weather is pretty great right now, it's actually supposed to dip quite a bit. The lows are supposed to hit freezing and below freezing in the coming days. So I am getting everything ready, taking out the final things that need to be harvested. Most of it's gone, but we do have a few more potatoes, sweet potatoes and things that I'm gonna get out for Thanksgiving anyway. And then on top of that, we have some beds that I need to finish covering. You can see some of them are started, but I need to take out some of the dead brush and other stuff to be able to then lay that black fabric cloth over those beds through the winter, and then I'll remove them in the spring when we get ready to plant and prepare the soil and all of that. Before any of that though, I will say one thing that I did this fall to prepare for spring that has been incredibly helpful was I finally did our soil test. I know it's the thing that so many blogs and people, YouTube, all of that say you should get your soil tested, you should get it. Well, we never did last year. We built all this, never did it. So this year we said we're going to. We just got our results back so I can share that on the screen. But we now know that we're actually not doing as bad as we thought. I was thinking that our levels might be a lot lower with nutrients and other things like that, but it's not terrible, but we definitely see some areas where we can improve. So I'm really excited to have done the soil test to have a better idea of what's kind of going on with the land that we are gardening in right now. All right, you can see we still have some bell peppers that are doing pretty well here and have been growing quite a bit. I actually started some of these pepper plants back in February. They didn't grow, and then they started really going. So I don't know what happened, what I did wrong, but that's okay. What I am gonna do is, or I shouldn't say what I did wrong because I still got fruit out of it, so hey. But what I am gonna be doing now is I'm actually gonna be cutting this branch. So from the base, I'm gonna go up about 6 to 9 inches. I'm gonna snip there, and then I'm going to take the top of the plant. I'll harvest any of these other peppers on here that we can still eat. And I'm gonna dig out the plant, and I'm gonna be putting it into one of these and storing it in our screen porch. The friend that came who's been gardening for the last few decades, she said that that is one way that she keeps her pepper plants. They go dormant over the winter. She brings them back out, and then she's able to start getting bell peppers even sooner, and they're not starting straight from scratch. So I will be still doing some seed starting with bell peppers. I'll do that same way I did last year and everything, but I want to try this out too to see if it works, because if it does, that's brilliant. So I'm going to end up just keeping these in my screen porch. So we'll see. She said that works. I'm going to go with what she's saying. And I got the girls with me. We have them out on the leashes right now, and they're just eating. Eating and looking. Hey, girls. All right. I'm gonna turn back over here. So let's get to it. My hope is that you can see this okay, but let me, the camera's kind of, take this off. They're at least up. So you can get right about here. That's where I'm gonna go. This is what she said, right about here. So I'm going to cut those off, though these might not work for right here because these are pretty thick. But, so I'm going to work at this and see if I can get it. All right. So, got this. I'm going to put some, I didn't put any dirt in this yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then put the plant, bell pepper plant, in there, and that'll be number 1 for so far for today. And then I've got a few more to do, and we'll go from there. Okay, here are all the plants potted up except one, because I need to get one more of these black containers. But our jalapeno pepper is the only one I don't have over here. You can see that's our fish pepper right there. but otherwise the rest are bell peppers. This one in the back is the lilac bell pepper, and then the rest are California sweet peppers. Now, another thing that we need to do is take care of our drip line irrigation system. Back in the spring, we shared a whole video of our selection process and installation of the drip line system that we decided to use for our garden. If you want to watch that, I can link link to the video in the description box below. There are a lot of details there. Brandon, my husband, he is an engineer, and so the way that he thinks about these things is a little bit different than me, but it has a lot of helpful information that I would have never thought to include or even think about in regards to it, but he did. So if you want any help with choosing your own drip line system, whether it's right now or later in the spring, whatever that might be, I would definitely recommend that video. But for today, all we're wanting to do is make sure that we can let the water drip out and like kind of just leak out of this drip line. We aren't going to take the cap all the way off of the drip line system because I don't want to create space for any animal, like small animals or bugs, to be able to come in and make their home for the winter. But I do want to make sure that water can get out so that it doesn't freeze and then cause other issues in the system. So what I mean by that is I'll show you. We're just going to loosen this cap. And then what we'll do, we're gonna loosen the cap on the end, and you can see that this line actually spans the whole 40 feet. Our garden bed is 40 by 50 feet. So this spans 40 feet all the way down to where our central command system is. It's a little bit harder to see in this, so I can show you when we initially laid down the drip line, this is what it looks like. So it spans all the way down to the other end. And so this is the cap, the end cap that I'm kind of loosening a little bit so that the water can kind of leak out. So after I filmed that last part, my battery died. So I ended up having to wait several hours, and now we're back here, but the sun's still out, so I'm gonna try to get this in before I need to go in. But this, you can see, is the other side of that line that I showed you. So we started on one end of our garden. That's where I loosened the cap a little bit. Now this is all the way to the other end where we see the line goes up and connects to this right here. Normally we have, I call it the control station. That's right here. We actually have already taken it off. That's what these connect to and hold up so that it stays, you know, we can just keep it up all throughout the spring, summer, etc. But that is what we use in order to automate, you know, when we want our garden to be watered. You can connect things manually. There's all of that central control station goes right here. So that's gone. We can see our hoses go in here. What we did was we actually just stuck in reusable water balloons. We bought them for our daughter's birthday. She's a July baby. So we bought them for one of her birthday parties, but we decided to use it now. And again, the whole goal being, let's keep out any bugs or potential, you know, small rodents and things like that from getting into these things. Because if that happens, it might be very hard to get them out. So that's what we got here. And that is really all we have to do to finish up for the winter and as far as our drip line. Brandon is out here and he's harvesting the sweet potatoes, but he told me that he found what was eating them.
There's a slug on one of them I saw.
There was a slug you saw, so we were wondering, he's like, it looks like something's eating them from beneath.
Or a mole or something. I saw moles, some mole pastures and stuff. But I don't know if it's slugs or not.
So we've had pretty good success with our sweet potatoes. I'm really excited to make some sweet potato pie, but it's interesting to think that something's eating them from beneath. We know that the rabbits were eating the leaves. That we knew they were the culprits, but I'm curious if you've ever had anything eat your sweet potatoes. Let us know. The last of the Cosmos this season. They done good for us. They lasted a very long time considering it's November 25th. Meanwhile, the girls are still going at it. Okay, we gotta do the not so glamorous but completely necessary task. I gotta clean out some of these garden beds. As I'm cleaning out these garden beds, I'm really reflecting on gratitude. And yes, I know that Thanksgiving is a few days away, and trust me, I kind of cringe at the cliche of it all too. But I did think that it was important to emphasize because while we don't celebrate Thanksgiving in the traditional sense, we do really value gratitude. For our family, it's because we read that throughout Scripture, the gift of remembering and giving thanks in all circumstances. When I think about this last month, it has been really difficult for a variety of reasons. But what I am so thankful for is that as I am doing this mundane task of pulling out weeds and preparing these garden beds, all in hope for what might come in the future, I can't help but look back at what has been, at the flowers that have grown here when this girl who had never grown flowers before in her life set her heart towards growing some so she could have cut flower bouquets in her home and for events. And she did. Or I think about my kids who wanted to grow their own corn, and they went and they tried and they did. And the joy at doing so. And I think about the bell peppers that you started, and I had never, started vegetables ever. I didn't really know if I was even doing it right. But yet we ate from them. Over and over again, we ate the fruit of one tiny little hope. And so I find myself very grateful, and I want to encourage you too to reflect on what are those things that you tried and maybe even failed at first, but you tried again, and what are those things that you can look back on and remember and say, yes, this was good. And maybe it's not in the garden. Maybe it's something through your vocation, whatever it is that you might do vocationally. Maybe it's a relationship. In fact, I hope it is a relationship, because if we're honest, it's relationships that really are the greatest of all the gifts. I don't know what it might be for you, but I do encourage you, not just this week or whenever it is you watch this video, but every day of the year. Give thanks. Remember gratitude. If there is anything that can buoy a person in times of deep distress, and trust me when I tell you that this last month has been incredibly difficult, starting with me drowning one of our cars in our pond. Yes, that did indeed happen. But that was only one of many rough things that happened in the past month. And yet, I can genuinely tell you that joy is still here. Because every day that I get to wake up and say, it's a new day, is a day that I get to rejoice because I have breath in my lungs and the ability to go and to love God and to love others. And so I hope for you that whatever season you're in, whatever's going on, that you too can remember, that you can give thanks, and that you too, from that place of hope and joy, can go out and love. So go knowing that you are loved and live from that place. Until next time.